Hey guys, so this is one of my homemade dog food recipes, and I just wanted to share what I do and what I use. And I'm not saying that this is like the best way, or I'm not a vet or anything like that, but this is just how I personally make my own dog's homemade food. So I take one of those chickens, those whole small chickens that you can make, and we eat off of it, and then I boil the rest down, and this is the meat left over. And so that had been boiling down for probably at least 8 hours, and I had it on low. So this is what it looks like after everything is all boiled down. And then you take out the bones. You want to make sure there's no bones in there, so you strain those all out, and that's the broth left over. And then we're going to put in this rice. I normally use brown rice, which is healthier, but that's what I had, so I'm using the white rice, jasmine rice. And as you can see, this is the broth, and these are some of the ingredients. So I use carrots, which I think it was about 2 cups of carrots. I kind of just put whatever veggies I want into it, and kind of put about the same amount of everything in. So it's about half veggies, half meat, or maybe a little bit more veggies than half actually. And then the rice and broth. So yeah, that's just what I use for veggies. And then you want to make sure that the broth is boiling, and that or almost at a boil. And then I put in a cup of the rice, and you're gonna end up cooking this for about 15 minutes. So just follow the rice instructions, but you want to make sure there's just enough liquid in the pot, of course, to be able to cook the rice, but you should have much more liquid than you actually need for the broth. So once the broth is boiling, go ahead and add the rice. And like I said, this particular rice is about 15 minutes, or you could even actually cook it for a little bit less because it's going to cook for longer with everything else. But I just get out a big stock pot and get everything else ready for when the rice is cooking. You just want a nice big pot that you can mix everything together in. And it ended up being, I'm guessing right around a pound of meat that I was able to take off of the rest of the chicken. And the rice is just cooking, and once it is done and looks like that, you can put the meat back in, and I shred up my vegetables. You could get out a food processor and just break everything down like that for all the vegetables, but you just want to make sure they're small enough for your dog to be able to eat. And I have a small dog, so I tend to break everything up pretty small. But when it comes to the squash and carrots, I just shred them. And I also put in some peas, some broccoli, as you can see. So that is everything that I put in over the meat. And then you want to just mix it up really well. And this time around, I actually didn't have as much broth as I normally do. I kind of make this a little bit more soupy, but this itself I think is great because it doesn't need really any more liquid. I just think that dogs like it, but it technically doesn't need any, or you could even add some water. So I'm just mixing this up really well. It's kind of a big batch, so you just want to blend everything together nicely. And then I'm going to add some of this golden flaxseed meal. It's ground. This is good for everyone, including our dogs. So I add about 2 tablespoons to this batch size. You just want to maybe look up online how much you should add. I've just come to know, depending on the batch size that I make, but you just don't want to add too much because it'll give your dogs the poops. So I just blended the ground flaxseed in really well so it's distributed evenly throughout. And then I'm gonna add some eggs. I added 3 whole eggs to this batch. I put it in the food processor, and then I'm gonna blend them whole like that. Yes, whole, shells and all. That's also good for our dogs. It's a lot of calcium. It's just really good. So I just blend it all up, and it's probably about a couple minutes. You want to make sure it's really ground so that the shells are very, very small and almost, ground up completely. I grind it up until it looks something like this, but I know you can actually make your own eggshell powder as well. Just do your research a little bit. I definitely did before I started making homemade dog food, and I found that the eggshells were a really good source of calcium. So it's worked out good for me, but that is a personal preference, and I think everyone should just research, if you're gonna make your dog's food. So it ended up looking something like this, and I just mixed it again really well together. And then I'm gonna put it all in small containers and put them in the freezer so I can take out a small amount at a time. And I end up giving this to my dog for his dinner on top of a little bit of his dry food. That's another personal preference, but I still do give him dry food. And I just put the batch in between 4 to 8 ounce containers, but I have a small dog, and I sometimes use mason jars, anything that has a cover and will seal properly to go in the freezer. This is just an example of what my pet's food looks like at dinner time, and I even give a little bit to my cat. She loves it. I mix it in with her wet cat food, and this is just them looking, waiting for dinner, and my dog's barking at me because I'm not serving it up fast enough. But those are my babies, Willie and Layla. So let me know what you think about the recipe, if you're gonna try it or if you've made something similar. And I hope that you like it and try it out. And these are just the animals enjoying the new recipe. Thanks for watching, and I would love if you subscribe, check out some of my other recipes or the rest of my channel, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.